So here they come in, rolling start, and it'll be just Josh Smith on pole.
Yep, so red lights are on, the safety car about to pull in, 18 minutes plus 1 lap of racing for the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship. Round number 12 gets underway now. The lights go out. Away we go. Pretty good start by Scott Mittell from the second row of the grid, trying to get alongside Josh Smith there, but it's Joe Lock that tucks into second place. In fact, in the Radical, all of the cars radicals in this race, apart from Scott Mittell MC41R, which goes second, I think. One of them running out wide there. Yes, it is the Mittell second. Joe Lock down to third place, but it is Josh Smith then, the man that for the first half of the season was utterly dominant. He is leading the way this time, Josh.
Indeed he is, being chased by Mittell, like you say, into Island Bend. They turn with Joe Lock there third. Fourth, the leading Class B car, that's Casper Jensen. I think making his Bikesports debut this weekend through the back hairpin at Shell Oils. Mittell and Lock pretty close together there, but Jensen going with them. Get back to Richard Stables in fifth, who's ahead of Ash Hicklin. There's number 8 then, that's Lock in the Tim Gray Motorsport Run car. Had a problematic Silverstone event, but won his class earlier, his first Class A win of the season in that earlier race here at Oulton, down into the Hislop chicane. Mittell not falling terribly far away from Josh Smith at this point, and really quick through the Hislop chicane. Mittell sideways on the exit of the corner. He's absolutely pulled away from Joe Lock through that sequence of corners.
He has indeed. So Lock in third place, but it's Smith leading, Mittell second. It'll be fascinating actually to see whether Mittell can really challenge Josh Smith in this race in a straight fight. Obviously early on Josh Smith had to sort of try and fight his way back through the field from the back after the opening lap incident with Charles Hall in the Bridgewater and Taunton College run car. Low sun now here at Oulton Park, reflecting off the tarmac. Here comes Smith though, but the Mittell really hasn't let him get away. Only 8/10 the gap at the end of lap number 1. Number 8, Joe Lock in third, 80 Casper Jensen fourth, 95 Richard Stables is fifth. In sixth place is number 16, Ashley Hicklin. Seventh is number 4, Tony Barwell. Eighth is number 24, Ian Charles. And Joe Stables came through in 11th place, didn't he, at the end of lap 1? So he's made up several places up into 11th. And yes, the Havel come around at the end of the first lap. Charles Adrian and Sean Peters running out the field.
Richard Stables had a big grassy moment at Old Hall, and that has allowed Ash Hicklin, I think, into 5th place. Yes, he's gone through. Now, the first part of the lap, this is where Mittell struggled against Lock in the earlier race, and Josh Smith looks like he's in that similar position where he's able to pull away. So Smith pulling away in the first half of the lap. We saw how quick, though, for the Hislop chicane that last lap Mittell was. And perhaps he can do similar. There's 80, Class B leader. That's Casper Jensen. So Joe Stables about 10 seconds behind the class lead at this stage. Here's Mittell ahead of Joe Lock. And then you've got Jensen. Hicklin is indeed ahead of Richard Stables after that grassy excursion that Richard, father of Joe, had at Old Hall. Here comes Joe Stable diving up the inside of Andy Chittenden, that is. So that, I think, is him into something like third in Class B already, so flying along.
Yeah, and a challenge on there. That looks like it is John Morris. So Miles Drew losing a place there, I think. There is Richard Stables, number 95, in 5th place, chasing after Ashley Hicklin, I think it is now. There, though, is the Casper Jensen car, number 80. Then it's Hicklin next through in 16. Then it's Richard Stables, number 95, through. But already the leaders are through to end the lap. There's Joe Lock in 3rd place, just going across the line now. There is Jensen in 4th. And there's Stables rounding out the top 6 for the moment. On that lap, Josh Smith was about 0.4 of a second faster than Scott Mittell, both into the 37s though that time. Joe Lock into the 38s, no one else below 1 minute 40 at this stage of the race. Here is a tight battle. Dropping down the avenue towards Cascade, it's Joe Stables going through on the inside of Ian Charles to get 8th place away. So, and now Charles has gone off the circuit completely. So he'll lose a few more positions to Andy Chittenden and Doug Carter and probably drop nearly to the back of the field. So again, in the second half of the lap, I'd suggest Mittell is the quicker driver, the quicker car. But he loses a lot in the first half of the lap to Josh Smith. But Mittell going quicker than he did in the earlier race, and Josh Smith is way off his qualifying pace. So perhaps there is some lasting damage from the incident in race 1. Here's Joe Stables, he's caught another one. That's Tony Barwell, I think, for 2nd in Class B. He's sitting in the slipstream, is Stables, comes up the inside into the Hislop chicane, later on the brakes and goes through. Joe Stables driving really well in these last couple of seasons, Ian. Yeah, he really has got quite a mature head on relatively young shoulders, hasn't he, Joe Stables, in terms of his on-track demeanour, certainly. He's up into 7th place now, then ahead of Tony Barwell, and the next target is going to be his dad, so hopefully his dad won't give him too much of a hard time as he tries to get through, because he'll know here that this is the race in which his son Joe could wrap up the championship for the second time in 2 seasons.
Josh Smith's now picking his pace up. He's into the 36s. Mattelli's going quicker and quicker, but just can't live with that pace of the PR6. So a couple of seconds Josh Smith has over Scott Mattel. 3rd is Locke. 4th is Jensen. He's going much better than the earlier race, but he's being caught by Ash Hicklin. They're in different classes. Their stables then. He is, at the moment, going through traffic, of course, lower than Jensen. So he's, 12 seconds behind Casper Jensen, who leads Class B. So that kind of suggests that's going to be a difficult task. But 2nd place should, I think, be enough to wrap up the championship in this race.
I think it probably would be. So I don't think he needs to break his neck to try and get out into the lead of the class, as Jensen and Hicklin in 4th and 5th place just went through the front shot there. There's Richard Stables and there's Joe Stables. So he's still got quite a bit of ground to make up on his father there, hasn't he? His father, the York Hotelier, Bikesports champion a good few years ago now. It was 2011 that he won the championship in the Radical PR6, and 2010 as well. So he actually won it 2 years back to back.
So Stables now, Joe Stables, we'll see what sort of pace he can produce, can't we, with this clear circuit as he turns that into the Hislop chicane. In the SR3, a bigger car than the PR6, carries a bit more aero therefore. Up the hill he goes, up over Clay Hill on this, the 4th lap of the motor race. Already back is Josh Smith, our leader, who goes through a bit quicker still, 1 minute 36.83. Mattel in this chase is going quicker than he has done ever before. 1 minute 37.6, but the lead's gone up to almost 3 seconds. No Satal across the line. Up the inside, this is for 4th, Ash Hicklin on Casper Jensen, but Jensen carries the speed on the outside line to stay ahead. So this is for 4th and 5th positions. Good drives we saw from Ash Hicklin last time out at Silverstone, where he got his first podium and then got a second one the next day. But he is being warned for track limits infringements, so it's just got to be a little bit careful there. Casper Jensen, in turn, doesn't want to lose too much time battling here because he's looking for this class win. Yeah,
and looking at the lap times, Mattel has gone 4 tenths faster than he did in the earlier race. Josh Smith has done 1:36.83 now. The best lap in the earlier race, which in its own right was a lap record, was a 1:37.97, so it's gone another second and a bit faster than that, which we always suspected he probably could do, but of course he didn't get that clear run earlier on. So Casper Jensen and Ashley Hicklin disputing at 4th and 5th positions then. Different classes. Class A is the Ashley Hicklin car, the tuned car. It's a production car for number 80. Casper Jensen there in the red, white and black car that's just going through the front of shot, now heading up Clay Hill. And of course Scott Mattel a little bit further up the road. He's in actually the Class C car, a separate class for cars of under 1100cc, so effectively that's just 1000cc superbike engine in that car, but different to an RGB specification Mattel, because of course it's got different aero on it, its central seat position, and so on and so forth. There is our race leader, Josh Smith. Nicely turns his way through Oulton there and is comfortably out in front in this race.
And another fastest lap last time by, 1:36.7, so that extends his lead out to 4 seconds now as he turns his way onto Lakeside and up towards the very quick Island Bend, which I should think is flat out in these cars. So right on the limit though at that speed, and Josh Smith able to keep it pretty tight actually through Ireland.
There's going to be touch and go whether Joe Stables even catches his father, I think, at this rate. He's only lapping about a second a lap faster than him, and he's still 6 seconds behind with only 9 minutes, so probably about 6, maybe 7 laps of the race left to go, being an 80-minute plus 1 lap race. So it's touch and go whether he'll even get there, and then he's got another 6 seconds to make up on the Jensen and Hicklin battle, hasn't he? So I think Stables might have to settle for second in Class B today.
And Jensen has actually got a quicker lap than Stables at this point of the race at least, as we watch Josh Smith climb up Clay Hill now, absolutely flying along in this Radical PR6. Up towards Druids he goes. There's Mattel in second, trying to chase. Looking back now to some of the other battles in this motor race. That's Andy Chittenden being chased by James Brakel and Doug Carter. This is for 9th position in.
Yep, and Chittenden and Brakel, 48 and 3, both Class B cars. Doug Carter in a Class A car, one of the PR6s. He's been racing that car for a number of years now. That's Jensen just going through shot. There's Stables, and Jensen is without actually Hicklin behind him. So does that mean that Hicklin had got ahead, or has Hicklin disappeared completely? There's Hicklin now, so Hicklin is ahead of Jensen.
So he's got through on lap 7 of this race, has Ash Hicklin. I think he's too far back to do much about anybody else. So 4th position looks to be the best that Hicklin will get. That's a class podium though, in Class A. Jensen a slower lap because of that, so that will allow Joe Stables to get a bit closer. And Stables there does and off goes the SR4. So that's Kimpton into the gravel at Druids. What I was going to say was Joe Stables has done the best lap in Class B now, 1:38.76.
Yeah, Kimpton spun there out of 12th position, I'm afraid, and I'm not sure he'll be able to continue from there. Marshall just wandering over to see if he's okay. 7.5 minutes of the race left to go. Leading cars, well, this isn't the leading group, this is the battle a bit further back, sort of in the midfield, featuring Doug Carter and James Brakel just ahead of him. James Brakel making his return this weekend to driving in Bikesports.
And Stables is now right on, Brakel now right on Andy Chittenden, and they're both catching Tony Barwell. So this is for 3rd, 4th and 5th within Class B. Doug Carter went really well, didn't he, last time out at Silverstone? He got himself up in the top 6 in one of the races there, but not quite got the pace around Oulton to do that.
Just noticed that Joe Stables has done the fastest Class B lap of the race, now 1:38.76, so that time he took more than 2 seconds out of his father.
Big slide there from Andy Chittenden, getting the power on out of Britons, which has brung him right up to Tony Barwell. So this is for 3rd position within Class B. Tony Barwell then turns his way through the chicane. He's only had the one class podium prior to this weekend. Andy Chittenden, the chaser here, has had a few more. So Chittenden has been a bit more successful than Barwell during the course this season, but it's Barwell ahead of this battle with James Brakel returning to the category, chasing them both.
6 minutes plus 1 lap left to go in this race then. And it's Josh Smith still leading the way by nearly 8 seconds, but we're watching there the number 4 car of Tony Barwell going through, being caught then by Andy Chittenden, 48, Brakel and Carter right there, and the Stables now separated only by 1.2 seconds, so we might see a father and son battle emerging for 6th position on the road before too much longer. But this battle just behind that then, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, dropping down into Cascades. There's James Brakel, number 3, just in behind the Chittenden car, I think that was.
He's really close this time, heading up towards Island Bend. And can he get alongside here? Yes, he nearly did anyway. But, couldn't. Up the inside into Shells maybe again. But no, he's not quite able to get that overlap. And this is how far they're behind the leader, because Josh Smith at the end of the lap is in traffic now. I think he's already lapped H. Charles Adrian, that's Sean Peters, that he's coming up the inside of into Old Hall. He's now a long way ahead of Scott Mattel. It was 8 seconds at the end of the previous lap, and certainly isn't any less than that now. So Mattel just hasn't got the pace of Smith, and the gap actually goes up to 10 seconds, and Joe Locke is catching Mattel just a couple of seconds behind.
Yeah, so Smith and Mattel and Locke have gone through. Hicklin comes through in 4th, Casper Jensen 5th. I'm just looking into the background, and yes, Joe Stables has now got ahead of his father, who is still there, quite a long way behind. Joe Stables did a 1:38.42, and it was a slower lap for Mitchell that time. He must have sort of really didn't work quite hard to keep out of the way of his son as he came flying through.
Joe Stables now only 5 seconds behind Casper Jensen, up something like 12 earlier, and he's lapping a couple of seconds quicker. So Joe Stables could yet get the win.
Only 4 minutes to go plus 1 lap, so probably 3 or 4 laps to go. We've got one into the pits. I think that's Ian Charles. He was off at Cascades early on in the race, and he looks like it's going to be our second retirement. Number 24, Ian Charles, joining Andrew Kimpton on the list of non-finishers.
Straight into his garage has gone Ian Charles, so certainly retirement from him. Andy Chittenden being warned for track limits in this battle he's having with James Brakel for what is 4th position within Class B. Coming through there, that's Miles Drew, car number 17. So he's still got the road registration plates on the back of his SR3. Of course, road legal cars, you can have radicals. Not sure how well advised it would be to do too long of a journey in a radical.
Can't get much shopping in them, can you? That's the main drawback.
Here's that battle that's been pretty good between Chittenden, Brakel and Doug Carter. turning their way through the Britain chicane, and this is all allowing Tony Barwell to get away in that third position within the class. I think Scott Mattel's realised Joe Locke was getting closer to him, picked the pace back up, 1.7 seconds, the gap there. Now the next car through will be Ash Hickley, and then it'll be the Class B machine. So we'll see how far Casper Jensen is ahead of Joe Stables. At 80, the second car in this shot is Jensen, and he was 5 seconds ahead of Stables. That is now free, as another 1.6 seconds brought back by Joe Stables, absolutely flying consistently throughout the race.
Give him 2 laps then, and I reckon there's probably 3 laps to go in this race, so it could be a bit of a grandstand finish for the Class B victory, if nothing else. Still, this great battle going on between these 3. Doug Carter there with the blue and orange car, just ahead of him is James Brakel, just ahead of him is Andy Chitting. This is for 9th place overall. They're coming up and over the line once again. Doug Carter thinking about a late braking move into Oulton that time, but decides better of it in the end, I reckon. So they drop down the avenue towards Cascades, the quick left-hander again, before they go onto the Lakeside Straight. So 2 minutes left to go in this race. There is our race leader Josh Smith. So actually it's touch and go. It might even be 3 laps left to go, because he's already coming up to the line. We have got, I'm just looking at our screens in the commentary box now, and it's 1 3/4 minutes. So I reckon we might get 3 more laps out of this race, if anything, Josh.
Let's see when the last lap goes
Which is
out,
good news for Joe Stables, of course.
Absolutely. We shall have to pick up the Class B leaders, car number 80 and 98, because that gap has been coming down. Casper Jensen and Joe Stables, they should be coming. Oh, here they are. Here's Jensen on our screens then, car number 80, and Joe Stables is almost there now. You can see absolutely on the limit, the car battling for grip as he tries to get the traction on. A new fastest lap in the class for Joe Stables, a 1:37.6, which is quicker than everybody but Smith and Mattel, and right on Mattel's pace. Joe Stables really strong here.
It's less than a second off the overall pace, as well as Stables looks down the inside. They almost touched there, I think, at Cascades. It's still Jensen ahead at the moment, but now they head along Lakeside Straight up towards the left-hander at Island Bend. It's the black number 98 car of Joe Stables trying to find a way past the black, white and red number 80 of Casper Jensen for the lead of Class B. Down towards the Islands hairpin they go. The Shallows hairpin they go, and it is still the same order. They're coming up to lap Sean Peters in his car, his Radical, in just a moment. They'll probably get him, I would think, on the way down to Hislops. They've gone through Britons now, climbing up to Hilltop, line astern. Stables in the slipstream. He can't probably really overtake Jensen here. Can he? Can he? Can he? Yes, he does. Down the inside he goes as they're lapping Sean Peters, who kept well out of the way. And Joe Stables goes through to take the Class B lead, which, if he keeps it, will make certain of the championship.
Really committed stuff there from Joe Stables. Really good drives this has been at Oulton Park to get himself to the lead at both times on the back of the grid within his class. Meanwhile, Josh Smith there, going into Cascades, has gone on to his last lap of the race. He's 12 seconds clear of Scott Mattel, who's a couple ahead of Joe Locke. So onto the final lap of the race we are. Joe Stables didn't need those extra laps, Ian. He did it immediately, didn't he?
He did. Just looking at how Class A might resolve itself, I don't think that Josh Smith will quite wrap up Class A here today, even with this victory, because of the non-finishes that he's had and the non-starts that he's had recently. Joe Locke still in with a mathematical chance of taking Class A, I reckon, but it's certainly going to be the overall title if things stay this way for Joe Stables for a second year in a row. So emulating his father by doing it twice in 2 years, which is a really nice thing.
Here's number 11. That's Smith then, who's coming towards the end of the lap and towards the end of the day of racing here at Oulton Park. And Josh Smith, who hasn't won for a while, has he? Hasn't won since Anglesey, which was back in June. So it's been a while for the Bridgewater College driver, but a strong drive here. Not quite the pace he had in qualifying, but still quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely done everything he needs to do. Been a bit of a lonely race. We wondered if Scott Mattel would be able to take the fight to him. And obviously no Charles Hall this time, who probably would have been able to take the fight to him. But up to the line he comes, and it's going to be Josh Smith then, take a 7th victory this season in the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship. He's done all he could, doing the best lap of the race, a lap record on the final lap as well, a 1:36. 1:04.47. Second place should go the way of Scott Mittel. It does now. And third goes to Joe Locke. So he gets another podium to round out his day. He'll be pleased with that at his local circuit. Still this battle going on for 9th and 10th between Andy Chittenden and James Brakel. But I'm just watching out of my window now because very shortly I think we'll have Ashley come through. And Joe Stables through to win Class B as well. And he wraps up the championship, the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship for 2019 will be won once again by Joe Stables. His victory in Class B here, his second victory of the day, enough for him to wrap up the championship. He was 5th overall, 4th was Ash Hicklin, number 16, 5th number 98, Joe Stables, 6th number 8, Casper Jensen, 7th number 95, Richard Stables just over the line now.
Really good driving Joe Stables, as we say. We've seen him out this year also in the Radical Sports Car Championships and has been right on the pace of the front runners there too. So Joe Stables, who's, as we say, come on a long way in the last few years and very much a deserving double champion. And he's taken it right to the Class A car throughout this year, hasn't he, in that less powerful car. He's taken 5 overall podiums, despite being in Class B.
Yeah, no, that production engine compared to the tuned engines of the Class A cars doesn't seem to have been too much of a hindrance to him. So 8th place went the way of number 4, Tony Barwell, 9th to 48, Andy Chittenden, 10th number 3, James Brakel, 11th to number 5, Doug Carter, 12th was number 18, John Morris, he just goes across the line now, then 13th number 17, Miles Drew, 14th number 6, Sean Peters, and 15th number 21, Charles Adrian. Ian Charles was in retirement, as was Andrew Kimpton, who we just saw in the gravel trap as well. But another win there for Josh Smith, and I think he probably will wrap up the Class A Championship next time out at Snetterton. But all hail Joe Stables, really. We look forward to seeing what goes on though at Snetterton. So we see Josh Smith heading into Parc Fermé. We'll hopefully hear from him very shortly. Just a reminder that the 750 Motor Club are back at Oulton Park on the 5th of October for a very busy meeting. We've got the 5 Club MX-5s, we've got 750 Formula, we've got Formula V, historic 750 Formula, MR2s, the RGB Sports 1000s and the Type R Trophy. I've got no idea how we're going to fit it all in, but we'll do our very best. Andy McEwen will be joining me in the commentary box for that one, so we look forward to that. But Josh, just reflect really on what's been a very good day's racing here at Oulton Park today.
Just been a typical 750 Motor Club race day, hasn't it, with action right from 8:30 this morning from the qualifying sessions, and then from our live stream, about 11 o'clock we had our first race. It's just been action-packed all the way. It's been breathless action, hasn't it? But low cost, I think, producing the races of the weekend. We had that Mad Club Enduro race where we really didn't know what was going on until the checkered flag, and now we got those three season decider events to look forward to. You mentioned Oulton Park, we've got Snetterton, which will have the Sunday will be live streamed, and then we've got the Burkitt weekend, which will have more championships decided on the Sunday there.
Yeah, so absolutely a lot to look forward to. And as ever, a tremendous job done here at Oulton Park by all of the marshals. Many thanks to them for coming out in such great numbers here at Oulton Park this weekend. We're so grateful to you. There's so much motorsport to choose from this weekend. We're very glad you've chosen Oulton Park and the 750 Motor Club, and we'll look forward to your support again in 3 weeks' time. And let's not forget all of the other officials and the circuit staff and everyone else that helps to make these race meetings possible. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, so many thanks to everybody who gets involved with that. So Josh Browett has been alongside myself, Ian Soman, up here in the commentary box this weekend. Many thanks to him for joining me. I'll look forward to talking to you again here at Oulton Park, as I say, with Andy McEwen in 3 weeks' time. But there's more motorsport to come between now and then. And don't forget, of course, there's a stage of the Rally Great Britain as well here at Oulton Park during the course of October as well. Get all the information on oultonpark.co.uk. Looking forward to hearing from our leading finishers in the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship in just a second. Jacob Harris will be down there to talk to them, and they will be hauled out of Parc Fermé and brought in the general direction of Jacob in just a second. Meanwhile, the circuit's being put to bed. The marshals heading back to their cars, the rescue vehicles heading back into the paddock as well, and drivers heading in the direction of Jacob Harris. So from Josh Browett and myself here in the commentary box, a very good night to you, and we'll leave you in the clutches of Jacob Harris for the closing stages of the day's interviews. For now, from me, good night, down to Jacob.
Okay, we're down here with Scott Mattel, Class C winner again and second out on track this time.
Yeah, Josh had a little bit too much pace for us today. I kept him on us for the first 4 or 5 laps. Then it was overheating a little bit, so sort of had to let him go, really.
Okay, I'm just conscious this ambulance might run us over if you want to just step this way slightly. But overall, a good day for you.
Yeah, good day. I got told off for not mentioning Seven Darcy, my kids, as well in the first one, so shout out to them, hello. But yeah, good day overall.
Of course, you do have children. Are they here supporting you today, or are they at home watching the stream?
They're at home watching the stream. It's about a 5-hour drive for us, so yeah. It's my son's birthday party tomorrow, so got to get home tonight.
Yeah, better get back on your way for that. I won't keep you any longer then. Scott, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Next up, we have Joe Stables, who's won a Class B again. Joe, double victory for you today.
Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, I didn't do with the qualifying. I mean, I would have probably got a bit higher, but it's always fun making it for the back of the grid to where we can.
We believe you've wrapped up the Class B Championship with this result.
Yeah, I should think so. Chris Preen didn't make it for this one, so yeah, I've definitely got the points now. Just got to win the championship, all right.
Sign of a successful season then. How's it gone for you overall as a year?
Yeah, pretty good, steady away, just doing what I'm doing.
What are your designs for next year?
We don't really know yet. Maybe the Radical Challenge, we'll have to see.
Okay, well, all the best with that. Should you make it, you back out at Snetterton?
Yeah, we should be here for Snetterton.
Good stuff. We'll be live streaming that as well, so maybe see you then.
Good, thank you.
That's from Joe. Next up, for an interview, we have Ashley Hicklin, third in Class A. Ash, I'm speaking to you again, and unfortunately it's not for a win again.
No, unfortunately not, but it'll come hopefully one day, but keep pushing. Car felt good. Track, like I say, this is my home circuit, so absolutely loved it as always. Yeah, I've just got to keep pushing on that car and hopefully we'll get there. We're heading in the right direction, that's one thing, so yeah, at least it's definitely running better since from Silverstone, from having that accident, so.
Is there anything specific on your to-do list to try and improve the car, get an extra bit of pace out of it?
Could maybe clear a bit more weight out of it as well. I can probably lose another 17 kilo out of it, so that should make a big difference. Because before I was probably about 43 kilo overweight, so I've got it down to being a bit closer to where it needs to be. But
good stuff. You reckon you can do that by Snetterton?
I hope so. Yeah. We'll see what I can do. Not 100% sure whether I'm going to come to Snetterton yet, but. Yeah, we'll
got a good 4 weeks, haven't you? You can manage that.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, all the best with that. And if you need a hand, I'm useless, that sort of thing. So don't bother ringing me.
All right then. Cheers. Thank you anyway.
Nice one. Next up, I'm guessing we've got second in class. It's Joe Locke, who is second in Class A. Joe, you did win earlier. This time, just one short. What happened?
For some reason we had no front end. I think we'll obviously have a look at that again. We made a couple of adjustments and lowered the tyre pressures, thinking it was going to improve it. I think the track went a lot slower, obviously, because Josh was, nearly 2 seconds slower. But no, I think it's a positive weekend because we've obviously got pace, but we're just struggling in the last final part of the track. So I think we'll work on it again, and obviously we've got Snetterton next, and hopefully get back up the top.
Yeah, not a bad Saturday afternoon. Would you say it's all set up, or are there things to do with the car that you might want to work on in between now and October?
Yeah, well, I think as well as set up, I think it's my driving ability. We've only had the car for this season, and I think there's a lot for me to learn to go, to progress. And obviously, they're not the easiest thing to drive at a fast speed. So for Tim, I think he's the best man to get me quicker. So we'll be back stronger in October.
Hopefully you'll go from strength to strength as your experience grows.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. Hopefully.
Brilliant. Thanks for chatting with us, and all the best for Snetterton. We'll see you then. And last but not least, we have Class A winner Josh Smith and championship leader as well now.
Yeah, we're leading Class A. Championship slipped away from us after our engine issues at Silverstone. So we've only got one part left to fight for, which we'll fight till to the end. Snetterton's next. We've had a semi-decent weekend. We're on pole, and race 1 didn't happen, and then we made up for it in race 2. So hopefully we can carry a bit more momentum again into Snetterton in a few weeks' time.
Looking forward to Snetterton. Is it a track that you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't rain and it's not freezing cold, which in October the likelihood is pretty high, I suspect. But yeah, Snetterton has been pretty good to us, so we'll go there with some hope and see what we can do.
The better weather today then played into your hands?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like if it does rain, it's kind of like an SR3 territory. But when it's dry, the PR6 is on song, and the boys at the Bridgewater College done a great job again on the car, turning it round in between sessions. And yeah, we've ticked off most of what we hope to achieve this weekend. So.
You mentioned your team there. Have you got a big following here today with you?
Yeah, well, we had 3 cars out this weekend, all part of Bridgewater and Taunton College Motorsport, all run by the students. And yeah, again, they've done a great job. They turned our car around after our mishap at Silverstone, and yeah, they've run the customer cars this weekend faultlessly. So yeah, they've been brilliant once again.
Great to hear. Thank you very much for talking to us, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Right, that is all we have for you here today from Oulton Park. Unfortunately, that's us until Snetterton, which I believe is on the 13th of October. We will be live streaming that, so join us then across Facebook and YouTube. We are Alpha Live, the live streaming experts. 750 Motor Club have run this event today, so big thank you to all of those. Big thank you to all the marshals, our commentators Ian Snowman and Josh Barrett. I'm sure they've mentioned everyone already. All our cameramen and crew. It's been an absolute pleasure. But for now, it's good night from here at Oulton Park.